Probably. All right, Mom. You know the deal, right?
Yeah.
So be fun, right? I don't know what we're going to talk about because obviously we don't have an agenda, but it is Mother's Day. So
yes, it is.
Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank you.
So yeah, you were on the show last week inadvertently.
I know.
So that was interesting. You ended up on the show.
Yeah.
Via phone interview, I guess. I don't know.
I'm surprised you could hear me on my.
Yeah, well, I put you like right here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because I thought it would be fun. Didn't know you were going to be that fun. So that was interesting. You don't pop the mic like Gabe does. So I'm going to have to turn you up just a smidge.
I could get heated, just so you know. Just reel it back a bit. Like physically reel it back. Okay.
So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Second City Kids Podcast, episode number 117.
117.
There you go. Absolutely. So, you guys may have heard on the pre-roll, Gabe was not going to be able to make it in today because it is Mother's Day, and he said he got something sprung on him last minute family-wise. So, obviously, like I do every episode, I turn shit into chicken salad, and I invited my mom on this wonderful Mother's Day. To all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. But we're here for episode 117, and we don't have nothing to talk about. So I'm just going to see how my mom's doing. Mom, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I the chicken shit or the chicken salad?
I will let you determine that yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. So you barely get some sound waves, so don't speak up like brutal, but you can speak up a little bit, Mom.
Okay, I'll try and speak up.
Yeah. Because the last episode, while we did do a very good episode, you were very low in the mix. Okay. And granted, that is me being a half-assed, shitty sound engineer.
Yeah.
But we do have a better equipment now, so
okay.
It's not exactly the end of the world on that front. But yeah.
All right. I pretend like you guys have aggravated me, so my tone will go up a little bit.
How's just a little bit.
Yeah.
So far, how's your Mother's Day going so far, Mom?
It's been good. I had a couple of days ago, we tentatively made plans.
Yesterday. We talked about it yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, we made plans to go have breakfast. And I woke up early, which I do a lot, and I was on my phone. And then when you called me at 9:10 this morning, our plans were for 9 o'clock. I was a little shocked. And
why are you shocked? We talked about it.
But like you didn't like call me in the morning and be like, "Mom, okay, still on," or anything like that. And so I don't know. It was weird because you're never anywhere on time. Usually you're running behind a little bit.
Well, normally, ever since the baby was born, I'm like always kind of running late because you would think I would get into the routine of like planning stuff, but I don't. But yeah, I'm used to being on time, but yeah. Like I said, ever since the baby was kind of born, it's kind of out the window.
Yeah, which I can understand. But I mean, I got up, rushed, got dressed. Then Lexi insisted that she was all butthurt about the fact that I didn't even let her know that I was going to go have breakfast because I told her you're going to be at work, so you're not even going to be there. So what difference does it make? But she was all like, well, maybe I want to go. And I was just like, come on, girl.
Yeah. So we were at the restaurant as my mom was not even out of her bed yet. So we arrived, and it was a freaking madhouse at Blueberry Hill today.
Which was helpful to me.
Yeah, I think that every car that was there parked was going to Blueberry Hill.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
I didn't even see anybody else like walking around or nothing.
Yeah.
By the time we got out, we did, but that is what it is. So it's been a while, Mom. So what's new with you? What's going on in your life?
Well, a couple of crazy. I had a kind of a crazy year as far as my living arrangements.
Oh yeah. Well, we covered that a little bit. We talked about some of that shenanigans involved, but go ahead and get into it.
So I initially I lived in Chicago my whole life. When obviously we talked about before, I'm pretty sure when you guys moved out, I decided to downsize because I was renting a house and it was too big for just me and Lexi. So I moved to Burbank, Illinois. First time I've ever lived out of Chicago. We lived there. We had a 3-bedroom. Was there for a little over a year. Decided I wanted to make another move. We downsized a little bit more, a smaller place, 2-bedroom. Love the area. Still love the area, which was right around where Blueberry Hill was, LaGrange. We were there, man. We were there for a month before things started happening. We were like, "There's something going on," because they were having all kinds of inspections and stuff like that in the building. They had sold the building, and so we knew that there was a possibility that they were going to be redoing these apartments and potentially
buying people out.
And that's exactly what started happening. And they let us know a couple months ago that we can give you this and that for moving early. My personal opinion wasn't enough because basically at first they were offering me what I paid to move in. And moving, man, is such a crazy, it's just crazy, it's just ridiculous. And I had paid movers to move us there.
Yep.
And so I was just like, no, I'm going to need more cash. Finally, they came up. I was like, you know what? I mean, like everybody in the building I think there was probably about 16, 17 apartments in the building. Everybody was moving out. We were probably the last, maybe third person in the building.
Yeah.
And it was getting a little creepy walking in the building. And
it was really quiet.
It was really quiet. And like some people were moving. I was just like, oh, okay. So we just made the move. I found someplace back in Chicago. It's not crazy far from here where Jacob lives. So it's on the verge of actually Chicago and a suburb summit. And I was just like, okay, back to Chicago. And so that was another crazy thing. You know that because you were with me when I moved again. This time I decided, instead of paying the movers, that I would throw you and Adam some cash. And then that just became like craziness, which I probably won't do again, I promise. Because I had issues with getting my sofa in my apartment. And which became probably a couple hours worth of drama, and in the end ended up in I know you talked about it, a hole in the ceiling and a couple of scrapes on the side of the wall that I don't think my landlord was too happy about, but he was a nice guy. So now back in Chicago as far as my living arrangements. My plan is to not move until I need another sofa because that sucker's not coming with me next time. It's gonna get cut in half before I leave. So I plan on being there for a little while long. Well, not a little while longer, for a while, so I don't have to stress about the whole move thing.
Absolutely. So outside of like that part, I mean, obviously Lexi got the whole deal coming up in a couple of months where she's gonna be Audi 5000.
Yep.
So what are you gonna do? What's with all the free time? I mean, obviously, I don't want to say your world is like wrapped around what Lexi does, but she's a pretty decent part of it.
Yeah, she is actually.
So what are you gonna do next? What's next?
It's gonna be a different experience for me. When you guys moved out, you and Jade and Adriana moved out. I had a house full of people. We were all doing our own thing. We're all adults, and it was weird to make that jump. And I knew from that point when these guys moved out that I was going to, I was gonna start doing more for myself. I had to, you know what I mean? Otherwise, I was just gonna be bored and sitting there. But now with Lexi gone, it's gonna be even more so. I enjoy coming home after work because I work hard. Not as hard as I used to because I don't do the overtime I used to. But I work hard, so when I come home, my thing is to sit on my sofa. I always tell everybody, I sit on my sofa, I watch my programs, and that's what I do. That's what I enjoy. I try to walk a little bit more. I got into this whole walking kick because, again, I'm not doing as much overtime as I did in my job. I walked a lot before, but I don't know. With Lexi gone, it's going to be a different experience. It's just going to be me. I always told her if she wasn't there, I don't even think that I would worry about dinner, that I would just make some bowls of cereal. Lexi was always like, I'm hungry. And she did not like one. She didn't want to have cereal for dinner. She didn't really want sandwiches for dinner. And so I tried to make her, what she wanted and stuff like that. But so it's going to be a whole different dynamic now. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll start going bar hopping. I don't know. What do you think? Good idea. I've never did that. I'm not a bar kind of person. I'm not a going out kind of person, but it'll be my time then, I guess, at that point, right?
So it's like legitimately like the first probably strand of time within the last almost 30 years that you've had like to not worry about your kids.
Yeah, to not worry about my kids.
Like at all.
Right, at all. Completely. It'll be weird. It's going to be a whole different lifestyle. She's only going to be gone for 5 months, but at some point she will hopefully find somebody, get married and all that and have kids of her own. But at this point, Yeah, and it's gonna be a different dynamic in my life.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
You nervous? You excited about it? What?
A little nervous, a little excited. You know what I mean? A lot of times after I leave work, I'll pick Lexi up from work. We'll go home, try and figure. We usually argue about what we're gonna have for dinner because I'm not gonna lie, I don't cook a lot. That's just my thing. I go into grocery stores and I panic because I will literally walk around with a shopping cart, and literally I will be like, "What? I don't know what to get. Why am I here?" And I'll grab a couple of things, and then when I get ready to check out, I'll be looking at my cart and I'll be like, I did not even put together any kind of meals or anything. I just grabbed some stuff that maybe I had a taste for, and so I'm not really good at it. Or stuff for Lexi, like I'll get her the cup of soups and the macaroni and cheese, instant macaroni and cheeses and whatever, Lexi needs and to survive on. But a lot of times I don't have food in my house, so we eat out a lot, and so me and her, since we do that, we will argue about what each other has the taste for. And then we figure it out, and we'll go home, and it's me and her. So I mean, I don't have nobody to argue with, so that's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Except the voice in your head.
Yeah, the voice in my head that tells me no, and I'll be like yes, and be like no.
Why don't you try doing like Blue Apron or something, or like Home Chef, like do it?
Oh, we did one of them. There's a lot of like if you they could send me like a bottle of spaghetti sauce with spaghetti noodles, and I would be a happy camper. But when you start sending me tomatoes to chop up and and then I'm just like, okay, I can follow the directions and it's cool what comes out in the end, but that's not really my favorite thing to do. Not gonna lie.
But now you got like the time.
Yeah, I do.
You don't have the picky eater, really.
Yeah.
You have more time.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens. I should eat better too, because I was on a kick for a while and then I jumped off my kick, and I feel like I need to get back on it, but I do need to eat better since I am not as physical at work anymore. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I do not want to be wallowed at home, wallowed up on my sofa by myself without Lexi there. At least I could do it with Lexi there, because at least I'm together with someone.
Yeah, socializing.
Right. Being there, their phones are blowing up. Did you notice that?
Are they? It's Dad. He's being obnoxious.
Okay.
You know how he does. You know how you do.
So we I don't know. It'll be a different experience, but kind of one I look forward to. But that's a little bit scary too. We'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You watch anything recently that's caught your eye?
I watched. I had watched the Ted Bundy thing because remember you mentioned it.
I did.
And we had already watched the one with the voice recordings that they had of him, the tapes, which I found very interesting. So it kind of, with the movie itself, they kind of put everything together. You can kind of get an idea of what's going on. That was pretty cool, though. That was interesting. I like stuff like that tells a story like that. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I'm gonna keep my opinions on this pretty vague because me and Gabe do have it on the docket for next week.
Okay.
But yeah, because it was all from the perspective of the girl.
Yeah.
Because I think it was based on her book.
Yeah.
And they didn't give too much away on him physically doing the acts because they wanted you to feel like her, because she didn't know.
No, for sure. Yeah.
She didn't know for sure. So on that aspect, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll get to like the nitty gritty next week, and this is more about your opinion on the whole matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah. It was,
why is my wife throwing out garbage? I threw out everything. She asked me to.
Obviously, you missed some things.
No, she got this angry look on her face. Like a goofy. Anywho, so overall, how'd you feel the movie was presented?
It was good. It was good. I could see it being from her perspective and her battles she fought with, with the fact that she was the one who initially called, and they explained that in the recorded version of it too, that not to this detail, because obviously how would they know it's from her perspective, but just how it for a long time it bothered her that she made that phone call, because she wasn't sure whether or not it was him, and she felt like she put him through this process, but you know what happens in the end. So it was
Interesting.
It's scary though. It's scary to think like there's people like that in the world though.
Yeah, what I mean? And the most interesting thing about it, and I relayed this to Adriana when we were watching it, This is like when he got the beard and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, well, did you do these crimes? And he's like, well, he's like the crime that I committed when I stole a comic book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I told Adriana, I'm like, those things, two things are equal in his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Probably.
Him stealing the comic book and him murdering those people in his
Yeah.
head, they're equal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting flick. So, now, since Gabe hasn't been involved in the whole Marvel thing,
Oh, cool.
and you got to see the movie.
I did.
Did you actually stay up through it?
I was awake through the whole dang thing.
So my mom is known for kind of falling asleep during the bigger.
I used to work a lot.
Yeah, during the bigger spectacle movies like the Harry Potters of the world and stuff like that. She would find a way to fall asleep in the middle of those things. So
it just happened. It would just happen.
So this is going to be a semi-spoilerific kind of overview of the Avengers Endgame, because me personally, I have been on this fix and I can't get enough, and I want to see all the footage online and stuff like that, because I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Gabe's been wearing meh about the whole entire thing. So overall, how'd you feel about it?
It was a very good movie. I enjoyed it. I am not you and your sisters are all into the whole series. See it all, was it 22 movies or whatever it is. Absorbed it. I haven't. I've seen movies here and there. Most of them I enjoyed, but for whatever reason, I just can't. Like, some of them didn't, attract my attention. So I've seen bits here and there. I've seen the last movie before this. What was it called? Infinity War, which I knew, but I keep forgetting. I saw that one. So of course I wanted to see this one too, and I just thought in general it kept my attention, even though I didn't know that much about everything, not everything about everything. It was still good to me. So it was a very good movie. You could feel the emotion in it, and so yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad I went to go see it. And then of course, after seeing the Infinity War, of course you want to see this one because it's like the finish of it.
Yep.
So you felt like you didn't know what happened.
So when I reviewed reviewed it on the pod, I was very vague, because it's very hard to talk into detail without giving spoilers away. Because a lot of people, like I said, this is going to be spoiler. So if you're not interested, shut it off or fast forward. Maybe I'll put a timestamp. I probably won't, because I'm a lazy piece of shit. But
that's true.
Yeah, just fast forward for a little bit, and if you keep hearing me talk about Captain America, stuff like that, just keep going until it's over.
Yeah.
So obviously the whole time travel aspect, which wasn't previewed at all in any of the trailers. I told that to Gabe. I'm like, you said they gave away too much. They didn't give away shit.
Yeah.
They ain't tell you nothing about this movie. It opens up with them killing Thanos within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
You know
that
what
was
I mean?
weird. I didn't expect that at all.
And they did the whole 5 years later. I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I said it out loud in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And Adriana was like, shh. I'm like, sorry. So they did the whole thing and probably like trying to explain like moving on and trying to get on with your life. And Captain's thing was like, well, people can people can move on, but we can't.
Yeah.
So they kind of came up with this whole plan, trying to formulate everything and making it work and trying to undo everything that was done. And not so much in making sure Thanos didn't succeed, because he did.
Yeah.
But trying to fix it after the fact and all that good stuff, and the collecting of all the stones and what they do and all that good stuff. And I think I said it on my previous review, but like the last like 25 minutes is probably the greatest piece of cinema I've seen in my whole entire freaking life, and that's including Star Wars and Harry Potter and everything else in between. That whole Avengers Assemble moment was like awe-inspiring, and that's a lot of money spent on actors alone, just in that scene alone. You know what I mean? All the stars and shit. Yeah, man, I'm seeking this out because I like watching people react to certain things. So like, you look up the videos on YouTube and stuff like that, people like freaking out in the theaters when the shit was getting real. I love that type of stuff. It gets you hyped, and all that. So, it's interesting to me. I thought it was a wonderful film, and like I said, the ending was really good. I was emotionally invested the whole entire time, all the way through. I think the whole crowd kind of as a whole, and it's funny because people get upset about the little things in these type of movies, right?
Yeah.
Like there was that backlash about the female Avengers assembling, which I thought was like one of the dopest moments in that movie.
Yeah, I thought so too.
With like all the girls getting together and jack some shit up. The internet freaks out about those type of things because they're filled with cesspools of losers and have nothing better to do. I liked it. I thought it was dope.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So, like I said, I don't want to get too deep into detail about it, because what I'm really concerned about is what's next, because it kind of wipes the slate clean on a certain front, and it's like, well, what's because all the movies have led to this moment, and they're going to come out with a box set called the Infinity Saga and with all 22 movies. But what's next? What's the next big
That's a good question.
event moving forward? And I have my theories, but I don't want to bore you. You know what I mean? But I think there's a lot of stuff that they can do moving forward. But I think it's going to be kind of interesting moving forward, the execution on those things, because obviously with some of the major main characters kind of stepping aside, I think Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, is going to be kind of the face of this whole operation moving forward. Obviously with Panther and Doctor Strange and all that good stuff. But I enjoyed it, and I just wanted to harp on it a little bit.
Well, I just want to get too deep, but to go off on that, but onto something else, is just the whole aspect of, like I said, I haven't seen all these movies, but in this movie particularly, with them trying to correct so that they could give their loved ones back, you can kind of feel that, because it was so important to them. You know what I mean? And you kind of
that's loud. Hold on.
And you kind of felt like, well, wouldn't you do that? If you lost your loved ones, wouldn't you do all you could to bring them back? You know what I mean? To have them here with you again. And so you kind of understood where they were from, like when they're like, we gotta do something. Like, we can't just let this be. You can't just have it be the end. We got to do something. And of course,
even if there was a slight chance that it could work,
something. Even if all these people are gone, and even if one or two or three or 10 of us have to sacrifice ourselves for it to bring these people back, then we're gonna do it. And that's basically how it ends up. But that to me, that's where it just hit me, where I knew because you know that having it happen twice in my life. That I would do whatever I could at this point. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
And how you kind of wish you could turn back time, and do things differently in life.
Absolutely. And to me, it was like, to me, it was ultimately the Tony Stark show, right?
Yeah.
Because even in the first Avengers, and people look deeply into this, and I'm one of the people who look deeply into it. There was a conversation, like an argument that Cap and Tony's had. He's like, well, you're never the person to fall on the grenade. You're not the person to lay across the wire and let everybody cross you. You're not that type of guy. And then Tony ultimately telling him, he's like, well, everything special about you came out of a bottle. Like, that whole thing, and that argument, that whole exchange. And ultimately, Tony was the one to take to take the dive on the grenade. Yeah. And Captain America was more than just the guy, something special that that came out of a bottle with the whole Mjolnir hammer thing. Right. Ultimately, that they were so wrong about each other. Right. Which I thought was probably one of the best parts of storytelling and the whole thing, because, like I said, ultimately Tony was the one to take the dive to save all of humanity. And the most interesting thing about it is that he was, Lord knows if he was working on the whole time travel thing, because they brought it to him. And he was just like, yeah, whatever. But like, we don't know if he was working on it the whole time, which Tony was the type of guy that he would do that. Right. And ultimately, what led to his decision was he was like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this again. Like, I don't know if we want to go to this point where these things find us again. And he like saw the picture of Peter Parker, and he's like, yeah. You know what I mean? He's like, well, you have to. And he had the conversation with Potts, which I thought was pretty interesting, when he was like, well, he's like, I could shut it off. Yeah. He's like, and I can go to sleep. And she's like, well, would you really rest? Yeah. You close your eyes, but would you really? It was just part of his makeup. Right. He was the hero that he had to be to do what he had to do. Right. And it was just a great thing. And again, I couldn't really talk about it on the previous review, but I think the first Infinity War made Thanos kind of a sympathetic character. Like, you kind of understand him. This movie did a pretty good job of erasing all that. You're like, fuck this guy. You know what I mean? This guy needs to go, because even him with some of the lines that he first off, he has some great one-liners. He's like, you couldn't accept your failure, and look where that brought you, right back to me. That was a great line. And he's like, I just want you guys to know, he's like, every conquest I've ever had, it was never personal. He's like, but this one, he's like, I'm gonna enjoy it. You're like, you mother, you're a dick. You know what I mean? You're a dick. And and it was awesome to see it all come to a head.
It was good. Definitely.
It was nice to see him kind of get his in that moment, because, like I said, that you kind of, there's a lot of that shit. You're just like, this guy, he's saying some shit that you're just like, you're a piece of shit. So see him get his was very good. Yeah,
it was good.
So
I enjoyed it.
There was that. So I mentioned it previously on the pod that you are so generous enough to be able to provide a trip for me and my wife and my daughter. Yes. Coming up in October. Yes. And what are you jazzed about?
I fell in love with Disney the first time we went. The first time we went, Lexi was 5. I think you were 8, and Jade was 12. And I drove you guys there. It just happened to be, I had taken the week because Jade was going to go with her grandpa to Disney World. And so I take the week to be with you guys because she basically watched you guys. And then when that, didn't end up happening, I was like, I could go. I don't really have that much cash. I talked to your dad. He was willing to give cash for it. And I just got a new car, and I'm like, I could go. I could drive us there. And I don't know what the anxieties I have now about it, if I could do it right now. I don't know. Just, I guess, living life, you build up anxieties in your body. But I was just like, I'm just going to do it. And I got in a car with you guys at that age, and we drove. Not all night, because I don't drive through the night.
What were the ages? Do you remember?
I think you were 5. I just said 5, 8, and 12. I think you were 8 at the time. Because you guys are like 3.5 years apart, so it all depends,
Mm-hmm.
So you were a little guy too. So even though you were 8, there was a big difference between you and Jade, because Jade was always a taller girl. But and so I just got in a car and we drove there, and I swear to God, when I got you guys in Magic Kingdom, we didn't have any kind of experience ever going. We literally had a paper map, because when we went the first time, there was no phones and stuff like that like they are now. And we drove there, and when I got you guys in Magic Kingdom, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at the castle, and I'm looking at the statue of Walt Disney World, with him pointing and stuff, I almost bawled my eyes out, because
really?
I just thought, I did this. I got my kids here. Well, your dad helped a little, but I got my kids here. I did this. I brought them.
Okay.
So from that moment, I fell in love with Disney, right? So I think we went maybe a couple years later, and then there was a lull, and then so now since then. I was probably 15 years now at this point.
Well, more than that.
From the first time we
Because if I was 8, I'm going to be 26 this year. That's 18 years.
Okay,
dude.
so like 18 years that we've been going, we've been there more so than you, because you didn't go as many. I think this is going to be our 10th or 11th time.
Jesus Christ.
So me and Jade, we love it. Lexi too. Obviously, she's going to go work there. We love it. So, of course, when I had always said, when I had my first grandchild, we would go into the stores. They would have big Disney suitcases and stuff. I'm going to get them one so that when we go on our journey, they have their suitcase, and we'll pack it up, and come on, let's go with Grandma. So, of course, last year during the Super Bowl week, we went to an epic. I called it the epic family vacation, because I also invited this time my sisters and my nieces and anybody who wanted to go. So it ended up being my sister Raina and Lisa and Jessica and Selena went for the first part of it. People were coming and going because it was a whole week.
Mm-hmm.
A whole week we were going to be there. So we had a blast. And so when we started planning this next one, and I knew you guys, Disney's not cheap. And the way we go now, because, I've done cheap Disney vacations, obviously. I stayed outside of the park. I'm not a rich person, you know what I mean? This is one of the things that I'm talking about what I like to do. This is what I like to do. Go on my vacation and have a good time. So when we were talking about doing it again, and I knew you guys, you have a house and stuff like that. So, money's not like, so that's why I told you, hey, let me know. I really wanted you to go because I wanted my granddaughter to experience it, because it's something that I love. Everybody will say, well, she's so young, she's not going to remember. And then I was listening to a podcast one time, and they were talking about it's not just the experience. Like, okay, so yeah, my granddaughter Alessandra might not remember it, but I'm going to remember it. I'm going to remember seeing her there for the first time. I know that kid's going to enjoy the music, because she loves music. She's got music in her bones. I know she's going to enjoy every aspect of it. I know it, but even though she's so small. So when I see her enjoying that, that's going to be my joy will be her enjoying it. I know you guys are going to love it, because I know you love it. I know we took Adriana that one time for the first time. She enjoyed it. We Disney a little different now, because we do stay on resorts. We spend a little bit more money. That's just how we like to do it now. And then, of course, from leaving that resort, we'll also be at Universal Studios Resort, Cabana Bay. And we loved it there, too. So that's my thought on the whole Disney thing, is that, yeah, she might not remember all of it, but I'll remember seeing her there for the first time and being with her for the first time and letting her do whatever she wants. Letting her, of course, you're not going to be there. You'll be on the rides. Letting her do whatever she wants. Letting her have whatever she wants to eat, and just hanging out with her and being with her. That's what I'm going to enjoy. So
yeah, because like you said, the finances being what they are, I don't have a whole bunch of spare change because all of my money goes to this house and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Because kind of harping on what you said, they're like, well, if she's not, she's not going to remember it.
Yeah.
Well, I told Adriana, I'm like, she's going to have plenty of other opportunities to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't been in 7 years almost now.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is for us, man. Like we never really got the honeymoon and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is our chance to go. And I'm like, I told my mom is offering to pay for this thing, and I'm like, it sucks. I'm like, I prefer for me to have all the money in the world. I'm like, but I'm gonna take it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna fight her on it. So I'm like, if you could just let that go, because Adriana is very prideful.
I know.
You know
I
what I
know.
mean?
Yeah.
So she didn't want to be like, I think a large part of it is she didn't want to get her hopes up again and then not go.
Yeah.
And be ultimately disappointed by not being able to go.
Right.
So I'm like, my mom's willing to do it. Like, she got a plan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not very often my mom has a plan. I'm like, so
I do when I go to Disney though.
Yeah. I'm like, I trust her on this front. I'm like, she really wants us to go. I'm like, and it's got nothing to do with me and you. We're just tacked on.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's got everything to do with her. And I'm like, I know you're not going to let her take her.
Yeah.
To by herself. I'm like, and I want to go. What the fuck? You know what I mean? It's been a long time. So we're excited. We're super amped about it. Because like I said, it's probably been me and Adrian are dating for 2 years at that point. So, like I said, about 7 years almost. Because me and Adrian have been together way too damn long.
Yeah.
And like you said, man, there's something. I mean, obviously I think a lot of people on the outside think that the magic is something that Disney like forces down your throat. It's what's inside you.
Yeah, it is really.
You feel the magic, right? And like, this is probably some of the like best times I've ever had.
Yeah,
we're at Disney World.
It is. It totally is. And then Universal Studios too, of course, because we always go there. But I just, there's Disney people in this world, and I figured this out because one of my best friends from high school, which I don't talk to a lot of people from high school, but I talk to my friend Lori all the time. I'd say she's my pea in a pod because we're a lot alike. We think a lot alike, raising our kids and in life in general. And she's a Disney person, so I figured that there are Disney people in this world, and they love going to Disney. There are people who do not like it, think it's too crowded. It's too much. But we are Disney people. That's the way that I see it. And we each time we go, it's not the same thing. Each time you go, it's always something different. There's always something new. We've been there last year, February, and there's already so much that's been built since we've been gone, or something new that's in
Toy Story Land,
and now the Galaxy's Edge is going to open. We didn't plan on that. We didn't think it was going to open till the end of the year.
But they sprung it up,
yeah. They ended up opening it at the end of August. So that's going to be cool too. So to us, we're just Disney people. It's like that's the one place I can go to like get away and clear my mind and know that this is where I want to be. And then in doing that, like I said, we invited my family last year to go to the last vacation we went on, and that was awesome because then we're like pros now, you know what I mean? So we're like, hey, here we know what's here, we know what's there, we know what's around the corner in most cases, unless it's changed. I know I want to go to Earl's Sandwich because I got to get my damn sandwich. You know what I mean? Disney Springs is awesome now, so you can do so much there. They got so many different restaurants, and it's cool to like have new people. Like when we took Adriana, and we knew where things were and what we wanted to go on and what we wanted to see, and she just kind of followed, and that was fun for her to see for the first time, and then for us to experience that with her.
Because it's all about, it's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Because I remember the awe in her eyes when she crossed and she saw the castle.
Yeah.
And she during the time she downplayed it, obviously, because she doesn't want to seem like a child. But she never really had the experience. She never got a chance to go with her family because her family, there's a lot of them, and it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
She had I told her, I'm like, so how'd you feel? She's like, I almost cried. Like straight up, I almost cried. And I'm like, yeah, it's just one of those things. So with that, I mean, obviously, the baby will probably be your partner.
Yeah.
This time around.
I look forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because Adriana will be my partner, obviously. Jaden and Lexa, obviously.
Uh-huh.
The baby will probably be your partner because obviously she's still a shorty. She's not going to be able to go on any other rides, really.
Some of them she will.
Yeah, we'll be able to we're definitely going to take her on the ones that she can go on.
Yeah.
Like the Dumbo and stuff like that. But if you could knowing what you know now, because obviously, like you said, you've been a bunch of times. You're like a pro. If you could go back to that very first time that you went, like that very first trip, and talk to your past self, what would you talk? What would you tell? What advice would you give
about Disney?
Yeah, or just like the whole process in general, the trip, because obviously because you think about it, I mean, like that first trip that we took, we stopped in some random town in Tennessee. We're like, I hope it's nice. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, basically, that was the one thing, because I've never drove that far before in my life, and we drove all the way through. You get the first time we drove through Indiana. That's the way I chose to take, and we got into Louisville, and so that was cool. First Indianapolis, then Louisville, and then eventually Nashville, which is cool. And then at some point we were in Tennessee, and it got dark outside, and I knew I was going to have to stop, because there's no way I can't drive at night. I'm afraid I was going to fall asleep. I have my babies in the car, and I tell you, that's the most important thing to me, is to make sure my babies are safe. And so when it got dark outside, I thought, oh man, I pushed it. Why did I wait this long? You know what I mean? Because it got foggy. And that's how it gets in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. It gets foggy. The mountains. It gets foggy. We were up high because it got dark. So, I was like, okay, well, we don't have phones like we do now. So we were looking for signs that said hotel or whatever. We found one. My mom had told me, make sure you stay at a place that's, I remember this, make sure you stay at a place that's reputable, the one that you've heard of before, a regular, hotels. Don't stop at just Sam's Hotel. You know what I mean? A chain. Mm-hmm. So we found one, and we pulled at
Best Western?
It was a Best Western, yeah. And
I remember her saying that.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Remember? And so I was like, okay, it was good advice actually. So I'm like, okay, so here we go. I'm going to get off the off ramp. Everything was backed up because of the fog, I'm assuming. And
I remember that too.
Traffic had stopped and stuff. So I didn't have any experience in it. So I'm just like, okay, let's pull off the road. We pull off, and then I couldn't see nothing in front of me. It was so dark. There was so much fog. I'm just like, do I go right or left? I'm thinking, I don't. If I go the wrong way, it might be bad for us. You know what I mean? In mountains of Tennessee. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go left. I remember I went left. And I went left, and then I took another left, and we were in the parking lot of the hotel. Literally right there. Like we were being guided. That's how I felt. I feel like to this day, someone was guiding us right into that hotel parking lot and into our spot, and that's exactly what we did.
I do remember that.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I just went, and then I'm like, what the? We were in the hotel parking lot.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay.
So I always feel like that. I don't know if it was your grandmother from I remember Regina from your father's. That's how I felt it was. Someone just helped us.
She's like, okay.
Here we go. Okay. Yeah. Time to get off the road. You should have got up earlier, and pulled us into a parking spot, and that's where we ended up. I got you guys, and we went in there. So I would probably tell myself to be aware of the fog, which is what I try and tell people when I talk to them if they're driving. There's going to be fog. Now, I could have probably at this point now knowing, because we have drove through the fog before coming back with Adrienne. Remember, we couldn't find any place to stay in freaking Tennessee all the way till Nashville, which was crazy because there was all kind of conventions and stuff going on. Like right when we decided we wanted to get off the road, we couldn't find no place coming back, and we drove through the fog. So if I would have the traffic was backed up a little bit, but if I would have went a little further, then we would have probably been driving in and out of the fog, because that's how the mountains are. But like I said, first and foremost, I want to make sure my kids are safe. That's a rule of mine. And people say, you drive so slow.
She does.
I do, but again, like I said, it's because of my kids. I have to make sure I'm going to take you there and bring you back with me. That's the most important.
What did Dad tell you?
Your dad said, if you don't come back with all my kids, don't come back or...
Don't come back at all.
Don't come back at all, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's evil. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But, no, he's not evil, but... Well, yeah, he is a little bit. But, yeah, he was concerned, of course, because the next time I think we went... What was it the first time? He let us use his... Like, he had one of those phones. One of the times we went. Maybe it was that time. It was a phone, of course, one of those just where you can make phone calls off of. He let us take the phone, not to really use on the road, but to use like in the case of emergency. And we didn't end up really needing it, maybe to call him when we got to the hotel. Of course, Lexi, now we figured that out too. Every trip we take, Lexi has a sick day. That's like common now. She broke out in hives, remember? She has very sensitive skin. So now I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to go get, so of course we had to figure out where to get some Benadryl for her because she had hives. I think, was that the time you got sick?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you had like a cough or something real bad.
I had a cough that would just not freaking go away. And then I don't even know why.
It's weird.
I wasn't like sick or nothing. I just like overnight I had a cough that just would not leave.
Yeah. And then I had that medicine that was pretty awesome. So
put me out.
Yeah. It was good medicine. The codeine with the cough syrup with codeine, because I used to get real bad coughs too. So it tasted nasty, but it did its job. So, see Adriana throwing garbage again?
No, some goofies look at my fucking house.
Who is
Get
it?
going. Sorry.
But yeah, that's one thing that we learned from that is Lexi always has like a sick day for whatever reason. Pack some aspirin because Lexi's gonna get sick. Some kind of.
Okay, so like obviously you've been in the car with us on these long trips, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, Lexi has her sick day. What does Jade do? Because I know what Jade does, but what does Jade do?
I'm trying to think. What does Jade do? Jade tends to be the one who freaks out.
Yes. That's
Jade's thing. Because I always say Jade doesn't start like normal, calm. Jade starts at drama. That's the level that Jade starts at. So Jade always freaks out. The first time we went, she was a big help to me, though. She did navigate very well. Coming back,
right?
Yeah. Because we were, like I said, we had a piece of paper. But coming back, all you guys were exhausted, so you fell asleep. So basically, I was driving by myself while you guys knocked out. But that's what I would say. That's the only thing I could think is Jade starts at drama from the beginning.
Me?
You?
I know. I know this one too.
You bounce off walls. So you bounced off walls. You still do. Lexi hated her seatbelt. I don't remember.
Me?
Yeah.
About like me in trips in general?
Yeah.
I get homesick.
You're the first one that gets homesick. Like, boom. I can understand that anxiety because I feel a little bit too, but you really, especially when we went, you had a girlfriend at the time and you were just like totally homesick. And it was just like, come on, Jake.
That was her.
Was it her? Was it
when we went to Denver.
Yeah.
I was just freaking miserable.
Oh my gosh.
That whole trip I was miserable.
I'm like thinking let's try and have fun. And we were trying to go to California, so that's probably why we didn't have as much fun. But yeah, you do. You're the first one who gets homesick every single time. So I don't know why. That's your anxieties.
It's funny because like the last couple of days of every trip, I started to get like real moody. I was just like, I
want to go.
I want to go home.
I'm ready to go. But so that's what was good about when Adriana went with us. Was that you didn't get like that because she was with you. And I think she was a comfort for you because I think you also miss home and not just obviously your girlfriend, but it's a comfort for you that she was there with you. You know what I mean? So it wasn't as bad as it normally is. And then remember you lost your phone on the ride. I don't remember which time that was, but you literally.
It had to be like the third time, I think.
I think it was when we went with your dad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mommy, and we got it back.
I was shocked. Yeah,
we got it back.
They mailed it to us for free.
We got in contact with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, we lost this phone. I think I had the exact model number and everything on it. I'm like, this is what's on it. If you find it, it's going to be on the mommy ride, which it was.
Yeah.
Just, if you guys find it, send it back. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we have it. Or something like they were like, what?
That was weird. It totally was.
What do you mean?
Yeah, but I'm glad you got it back. But yeah, you were just like, oh, that's my phone. I'm like, oh, here we go. Universal Studios.
Yeah.
But we did. We ended up getting it back, so that was pretty cool.
That's weird.
Weird.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously that's the trip part. What about actually being in Disney World and the parks? What advice would you tell your previous self?
I had a year that I went with Jade and Lexi. We went just me and the girls. The first time we ever flew out there. I've flown before, but I don't really like flying. But and that year, for whatever reason, in my head, I was telling myself, just go for it, just do it. So I did rides I never thought I would do ever. And I was just telling myself, it's only for a minute, get on it. What's the big deal? So that was pretty cool. There was a couple rides I regret. I won't ever get on again.
Like what?
The Aerosmith one. I didn't realize I was on a real roller coaster because my defense is to close my eyes, and everything I go on, I'm closing my eyes, so I can't see nothing. Oops, sorry. So I didn't realize I was like on it's an indoor roller coaster until like I opened my eyes for a second, and I'm like, what the hell? I don't know. I think I screamed on that one for a while. I know I did in Space Mountain too. I had never gone on Space Mountain. I screamed on that one the whole time. And then I did Tower of Terror, which I've done before because Lexi had wanted to do it one year. And so I was like, I can't let her go on by herself. And so I went on and so I did Tower of Terror. So there was just something in my head telling me, get on the ride. So I'm glad I did that but I don't know if I could I don't know what was going on, but I don't think I'll do that again. But I don't know. The first when we went with Adriana that one time, and these guys were all young but adults. It was just cool to be able to walk around and just check things out, go into stores, because when you guys are younger, of course, you don't want to go and walk in the stores. You want to do stuff. You want to do, and I had to be with you because you were little. And so it was pretty cool that time to just be able to walk around and check everything out. Like I was like, oh, this is cool over here. And I was in the stores and I was looking at everything. You guys were on rides, doing your thing. You'd come, we'd meet up. Usually I was having popcorn or ice cream sandwich or whatever.
Literally, the time I went with Adriana, which is the last time I went, every time we got out of a ride, my mom had a new snack in her hand, straight up, and we're like, "How does where?" She would be like you said, like a piece of an ice cream or popcorn or just like what do you? And she would have like a new bag in her hand. And she'd just sit there. I don't know.
It was cool. It's cool. Well, I guess they didn't really have fast passes back in the day, though. So that would.
They had the ones that you could print out.
Yeah.
Like you would walk up to the thing, press it, and then it'll give you a time.
Yeah, so that would have been cool to to really know how to operate those better to keep us from standing in line. I remember the first time we went. Excuse me. We stayed in the Buzz Lightyear line for ever. I felt like it.
It was.
Or was it Winnie the Pooh?
It was Winnie the Pooh.
Was it Winnie the Pooh?
It was Winnie the Pooh and Small World.
Yeah, and then it was that wasted a lot of our day.
It was just a dark ride, and it was like. Woo.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that big a deal. Yeah. And so that's something I was just like, our line's not cool. So now they at least you get the 3 right now, free fast passes. And so if you learn how to utilize them, then it can really save you a lot of time in the parks. And then, of course, we spend the extra money at Universal Studios because that's just worth it. If you're going to hit both parks in one day, it's worth it. You're jumping on and off rides instead of getting in those long lines because that wastes a lot of time.
Yes, it does.
Standing in lines, and I don't have the patience for that anymore.
Nah.
And of course now it's better. I mean, I am paying for you and Adriana, but Jade's paying for herself, and Lexi's be working there, so it gets a little bit better when you get older because then you guys can cover your own bill.
This is true.
Which is kind of what you did when we went with Adriana the first time. So
yeah.
So that's probably why I was, because I did pay for all of us the first time we went. So I had to, be a little bit frugal. And then when we go now, obviously I'm not paying for everybody. So it gets a little bit better. You can stay at nicer places. Mm-hmm. And so now we stay on the Disney resorts, which are awesome because they treat you like you're the king and the queen, basically. You know what I mean? They really cater. If you're at the right spot, they cater to their people. So
because right now, I feel like as far as the part of the trip that I'm most amped about, obviously the Disney, the Galaxy's Edge, just stuff like that. I was telling Adriana, I'm like, I think we're kind of sleeping on the whole Harry Potter World thing
because you haven't been.
Yeah, when I went there, it was just the castle and the 2 rides or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think we're severely underestimating how dope that's gonna be because obviously we're big Harry Potter fans. Adriana read all the books. We saw all the movies. Yeah. Like big fans. Big part of our lives. Obviously, the big franchises will be Star Wars, Harry Potter, and now Marvel and stuff for us. And I'm like, it's gonna be epic. Yeah, it's gonna be gigantic. And I'm just waiting for that Marvel Heroes Park to shut down. Yeah. At Island of Adventure when that contract runs out, because they're gonna build the whole world dedicated to that at Disney World.
Yeah, they probably will. Yeah.
So yeah.
Where would they put it? In Hollywood Studios?
Don't be surprised. Yeah, if they probably either tag it on to Hollywood Studios or
that's gonna make it epic.
Yeah, because it's gonna be it's gonna be insane.
It will be.
And all that good stuff because they're just counting down the days for that. They're like, okay, in 20 more years.
Yeah, but then what is Universal Studios gonna do? Islands of Adventure. What are they gonna do?
I mean, that's just one part of the park.
It's a small part, but still, it's got cool rides there.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. They'll probably tack on something else, I'd imagine. Assuming that Disney doesn't buy everything else off in between.
Change the name of the Hulk ride to something different. And
yeah.
Spider-Man ride is cool. So
yeah, they'll take that out.
Yeah. But they came out with that Jurassic World ride you were talking about. You didn't want to go.
Fuck that. So I came across an ad on my Facebook the other day. And I'm like, oh, a new Jurassic Park. Because I think it's in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Oh, new Jurassic Park ride. I'm like, that's cool. I haven't heard anything about that. And then it's just this fucking sea. And I'm like, oh, no. And then the big Megalodon thing crashes the side. I'm like, yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I don't know. It kind of scares me, too. I was afraid at Universal Studios, to get on the new King Kong ride. I was telling that was the year that I was getting on everything, but because I had no idea really what it was. And so I was telling the girls, tell me what it is first before I do not want to get on a roller coaster. And then I was a little concerned about it, but it was pretty cool. I mean, it was a standard ride, but it's pretty cool.
I ain't messing around with bugs because I know there's bugs on that thing. Not happening.
Yeah. It's definitely.
Refuse.
Everything's big. Everything's big.
And I told Gabe on another podcast that one of my biggest phobias is that things that are oversized.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It creeps me out. So I'll pass on that one as well. There's going to be some rides that I pass on. I don't know because I think my anxieties have started to take over a little bit too, like with certain things. There's like this devil may care attitude that I used to have that I'm not. Now I'm just like, fuck that. I ain't doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wonder, like what in my life has like triggered this kind of level of like paranoia and anxiety. Because like there was, I don't know, I wasn't always like that. Like,
well, you know what, with me, I'm just gonna say with me, it was always. I didn't really have it. I didn't have anybody really die that close to me until my grandfather did in 1999. And then for a long time, I didn't have anybody really that important to me that passed that I could think of. And then in 2011, it just started like snowballed. My uncle Angelo passed away. He was the same age as me. He had Prader-Willi, which is a sickness, made him seemed like he was younger than what he actually was, but he ended up passing away. And then it was just like my grandmother 6 weeks later, and then my mom 10 months later, she's gone. Well, and then my cousin's mother passed away, and it was just like boom, boom, boom. And then like on Gina's side of the family, her in-laws and stuff like that, that was all going on pretty much at the same time. So it was just like, what's going on? And in general, I think that helped a lot of because then you start to learn that life is so short and precious and stuff like that. So it kind of builds up anxieties in you just thinking about that. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. Like for me, so I was lucky enough to not get those anxieties till I was older. So I can't imagine kids, with them being so young, and even you're young for it. Where it happened. Maybe it was from the relationship that I had with your dad. You know what I mean? Maybe it was from the whole divorce thing. And stuff like that made you build up these kind of anxieties. Lexi, it's hard to tell because Lexi's very stoic, and we say that she doesn't have any feelings. She does feel, she just doesn't show it. Her thing is to really not show it. Jade doesn't really. Jade's pretty. I don't want to say she's strong, because she has her issues too. You know what I mean? But I don't feel like anxiety is one of them. Like I said, Jade always started from drama. So that's kind of normal for her. But for you, I noticed that you're in your teens when you had a couple of panic attacks. You know what I mean? And so that's the only thing that I can think of. You know what I mean? You just learn about life, and most of the time life sucks. Most of the time, not all the time. Sometimes life is good. You have the baby in the house and stuff like that. So obviously that's good. But there's something that's created this anxiety or allowed you to feel not as secure in your life that you should feel,
I don't know, man, because I guess it's not like I can't really pinpoint it to like one thing that kind of happened and it kind of turned into this ugly storm. Like, I don't know, it's weird because, like I said, it's kind of hard to put the words to like how you're feeling sometimes. Mm-hmm. And like for me, I just don't like the sense of losing control. I don't like losing control of the things in my life. Mm-hmm. And there was like a time period, a couple of years, or maybe about a year and a half ago, before the baby was born, and like the whole Amazon thing was kind of happening. I felt like I lost control of the wheel, and I didn't like that because I felt like I was kind of spiraling. Yeah. And granted, like maybe on the outside it didn't look like that, and we were doing okay, I guess, but I don't like losing control.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And I think at that point, I don't know if I ever really discussed this with you. I talked about it, Adrian, all the time. The whole Amazon thing, and like with the baby on the way, like I felt like I was like, for the first time in my life, I was actually like failing, and I didn't like that. I don't know why I have such a fear of it, or like why I don't like failing, because I think a lot of people are like, well, that's how you learn. Me, I just like, I'd rather get it right the first time and not have to worry about it ever again. I don't know if that's a pressure I put upon myself or where I got it from, but I don't like to fail. Mm-hmm. And like I said, when that whole thing was going on, I felt like I was like I was losing it, and I
Yeah.
didn't like it. And like I said, personally, everything was going great. Me, Adrian, I just got married. The baby was on the way. We were happy on the home front, but like financially, it was like is really starts to like gnaw at like my subconscious, and even now. To this day, like, cause we haven't really fully recovered from that it still like eats away at me. And I think, and I can't get past the fact that sure, I made a bad choice with my career, but I've made a good choice since then and we've bounced back or, at least I have career wise. It's a motivator for me cause it still eats away at me cause we are not as well off as we should be because of that.
Yeah.
So, and even on the pod, cause even when the podcast was, the podcast fell off during that time period because I was just so frustrated and I didn't want to like talk about other shit because I was so pissed off that was not going well for me. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know because it's just, I don't know.
Well, it happens in life like that. I mean, obviously, I went through a divorce and stuff like that, but even before that, there's a lot of times where finances, there's a lot of drama with finances and stuff like that. I think that's a normal thing to go through when you're young because, and then you bought the house and you have the car and then, of course, the baby. You never really understand how much babies cost or how much they need until they're born. So I think that's a normal thing. And so that I always feel like as long as you keep working your ass off, you'll bounce back from it no matter what, But you have to be willing to put the work in. It just doesn't get handed to you. You have to go out there and do it. Like, I had to work, when I was married because we needed two incomes. So I did. I always worked. And being on my own, of course, now I take care of myself and for use for a long time. But as long as you put in the work, you'll bounce back. You'll be able to bounce back. You'll figure it out. You know what I mean? So, and that's why I was trying to tell you. It was very stressful. I understood it. I don't have the kind of money where I'm just like, hey, Jacob, here's for your... because I don't have that. If I did, I probably would have helped you out as much as I could. But so it was just like,
I don't think I would have taken it.
Why not though?
I don't like being bailed out.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I feel like if I put myself in a situation, I should be able to get myself out of it. And so far, I mean, we're doing okay right now. It's not like brutal, but I wouldn't. I don't think I would take it. I mean, I don't even like asking for, some help every now and then for like little bills. Like I don't like it. It doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess that's just my personality. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like.
Well, I mean, it's good because, like you said, that like people say, you learn from it. You definitely do learn from it. That's something that being in that situation, you're just like, okay, let me try not to do this again. And see, I was having a conversation with Jade yesterday. Not really a quick conversation, and she was talking about her finances kind of, and she's like, I don't know why I learned that from you. Or, basically blaming me not blaming me, but we had a conversation, we're laughing about it. And I was telling her, you could have learned from me. I was a single mom. I had financial issues where I was, going back and forth paying Peter to, buy whatever, PayPal, whatever, borrow Peter, PayPal.
Yeah.
And stuff like that because you had to live, and that's the way sometimes you got to do it. And so I was like, you could have taken it one of two ways, Jade. You're the one who took it the wrong way. Jacob looked at it and saw, this is not something that I want to do, so I want to make sure I take care of my finances so I don't have to worry about it. And you did. You, Jade, you decided you wanted to follow in my footsteps. That's not my fault. That's your fault. You know what I mean? I'm okay now. I work very hard, obviously, so I worked a bunch of overtime to try and get myself out of the hole. And she also works very hard now because she does the same job I do. She's newer at it, obviously, but I told her, you could have, totally went the Jacob way, and but you didn't. So you went my way. That's not my fault. That's on you. That's the hard. Basically, that's the hard way. But sometimes life, inevitably, you end up there anyway. Because you have, like I keep saying, you have the house and the car and the baby and stuff like that, and it just becomes, what about what happens when she goes to? I'm sure you're gonna send her to private school and stuff like that. Can you imagine? I had two kids in private high school. And that was a burden that me and your father decided that we were going to do because we wanted you to have a quality education. And, of course, these guys didn't really take advantage of that. That's my thing. But we sent you to private school. I think we spent about $15,000 just on yours and Jade's when you were a freshman and Jade was a senior on your education in 1 year. I don't even know how we did it, to tell you the truth. Seriously, now at this point, of course, your dad, it was me and your dad paying for it, but still, I don't even know how we did it. But you do it for your kids, no matter what. For your babies, you want them to have a good start in life.
I remember, I think, it might have been that year, maybe the year after. They called the deed called us until like, you can't come back in until this is paid, right?
Uh-huh.
And you guys weren't like, you guys got it the next day. You guys made it work.
Yeah.
But the next day I go to school and I get the detention for skipping school. Then the dean's like, yeah, you weren't here yesterday. I'm like, yeah, because you goofy motherfuckers told me not to come in. I said it like that.
Yeah.
He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, talk to the finance department, financial aid department. And he's like, I'll get back to you. So he comes back to me at lunch. He's like, yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah, I remember this one. I mean, you were trying to make it work, and sometimes it gets you wait till the last minute, and then it's a little bit late, and you're just like, oh shit, let me fix this, and then you got to fix it. But yeah, that was an interesting year, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then Lexi didn't start high school until after the year that you had graduated, so we didn't have to worry about that again. We were lucky.
Thank God I was like the year ahead. Remember?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because you started school a little bit early.
Mm-hmm.
They let you start a little bit early, so yeah. It was funny because, like you said, when you were at St. Richard, you were younger than some of you were in 7th grade, and you were older than.
I was younger than some of the people in 6th grade.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it was weird. But it
was either one of two options. I was the youngest kid in my class or the oldest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or one of the oldest. So it's just September's weird birthday. Now Lasana's going to have the same problem.
Yeah, she is.
I'm going to try to get her in early. I want her to be done early.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, when you send them to private school, they're not as picky. Regular public schools, they got to stick to their rules because, it's mandated or whatever. But like we went to private school always, so it was a little bit easier to get you in there. But yeah, that was interesting. But like I said, you do it for your kids. You want them to have, no matter what fight. And my mom used to tell me all the time, your dad could be driving a new car. He's sending you to a private school, because I went to private school always. And he could be driving a new car, and I didn't really understand that until I had you guys. And then you're putting all that money for your education into, your kids. So you could be driving around a brand new car, but you choose to put it a different way. There's nothing wrong with sending kids to private public schools. You know what I mean?
It depends on the area.
So yeah, sometimes that's just the way it is. You got to. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just saying that was something that was given to me, so I wanted to give it to my kids. Your dad always went to public schools, but it's something I wanted to give to my kids, so that's what we did, no matter what. Copy
that. So,
excuse me.
Because obviously, my grandparents are no longer with us. Your parents are no longer with us. Mm-hmm. So, to finish this off, I kind of want to, just from your perspective, from the things that you learned from them.
Yeah.
What would be the most valuable lesson you've learned from them that you would want all of us, the kids, to know, to learn from, that you learned from them?
Did I learn from my parents?
Yeah.
I always felt my parents were good parents. Mm-hmm. We got lickings. We got spanked. We didn't get beat. We got spanked though. Mm-hmm. We knew when we did wrong.
It wasn't a Joe Jackson kind of situation.
No. They would be like, okay, you're gonna need to get 3 spankings or licks for this, and we knew why. We knew we did wrong. So I always felt like me and my sisters, we grew up, learning what was right for wrong. You know what I mean? That was a little bit less heavy-handed with you guys, but there was nothing wrong with the way my parents did it. But I felt like my parents, it was a good thing, but also kind of a detriment. They taught us to be polite. They taught us to respect other people. They taught us to understand or to have respect for what's going, for how something will affect other people. And like I said, it's a detriment too, because then you give respect to people to sometimes they don't deserve it. You know what I mean? You'll have that old crazy person yelling at you, and a lot of times you just be like, well, she's an old person, I gotta respect, because that's what my mom and dad taught us. And I didn't really teach these guys that, though. I'm not gonna lie, I probably should have been on you a little bit more. So it was always, you walk in a room, you say hello, you're leaving, you say goodbye. It was just manners. They taught us general manners and caring about what other people, how things affected other people. And then I know that after my mom passed away, I'm a mail lady, so I had people on the route. I was on the same route for a long time. And I would tell people, they would ask me, how's everything going? And I would explain to them what happened, because I was gone for a little bit. And I would be like, my mom was awesome. She was an awesome human being. And they would tell me, this might make me cry, but
Okay.
they would tell me that they could tell that my mom was awesome because of how I was. They could, that they knew that, that my mom was a good person because of the way that I was. And so then, of course, that would just make me, cry even more, because I just think back that this is what they taught me. This is the person they made me into, this human being. You know what I mean? And people, they see it and they understand it, because of them. It's because of them, So I just always thought that was awesome. But that was just something that I learned from them, So
when you look back at your kids, then what's your legacy? What did you teach us?
I want to say I'm hoping me and your dad were a little bit more laid back than my parents were, right? And I'm hoping that it's to have fun in life. You know what I mean? Not that my parents didn't teach me that, because they did, but yeah, to have fun. That's what I want to say. I probably should have taught you more manners. I let you guys talk back to me a little bit. You know what I mean? Or have an opinion. I didn't really get that when I was a kid. That's not the way we were brought up. Different times. You know what I mean? We were taught to respect, like I said. So I think that I feel like a lot of times when we get together, even if your dad is there, we crack up and we have a lot of fun. You know what I mean? We laugh about things that have happened, Disney World trips, planning Disney World trips at the last minute, jumping in the car. So I'm hoping that you guys, that's something that you kind of pass on to your kids, just to have fun, to get the most out of life, you don't have to be like strict, and that you have to be respectful. You should be respectful, but that you can live life and have a lot of fun doing it. Do what you got to do in life, though. Like I said, I work my butt off so I could take my trips and stuff like that. I mean, but have fun in life. So.
All right. So then to follow this up, so far, from what you've seen from me and the little girl,
yeah.
what do you think is going to be my legacy that I pass down to her?
I think the kid's gonna love music, and I just feel like you love music. Your dad loved music. You're a little bit more into it, but I think that she's gonna have fun in life. I think she's gonna enjoy music, because I feel like if you watch that kid when she's dancing, she looks like she feels the music in her bones. You know what I mean? And so I think that it'll be to be herself, because I think you and Adriana are very much yourselves. You know what I mean? You put yourselves out there, and this is us. And I think that's what probably she'll learn. This is us. Like us or leave us. This is us. And I think that's how she's gonna end up being.
I think it's funny because when Jade was here with us, right? Obviously, that Jade is not me and Adriana. Me and Adriana are very we're different, but we're very much the same person when it comes to kind of our personality and how we interact with the world. When me and Adriana argue all the friggin' time. Like, we scream, we yell, just because it's fun. Like, we think it's funny. Yeah. And Jade did not know if we were being serious or not on any given evening. She'd be like, "Yeah." It's just that we're very confrontational to each other. Yeah. But because that's how we are. So I think Jay didn't really recognize that. But for me, what I want her to know is kind of in the same vein as you, is just be passionate about something. Yeah. But believe in something. If it doesn't, I don't have to agree with it, but just believe in something, believe in yourself, and it'll work out. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like what I want to piggyback off of, because I'm very passionate about a particular set of things. There's like 4 things in my life that I'm super passionate about. Music being one of them. Video games. This everything this podcast is about. Movies and pro wrestling.
I was going to say wrestling. I know wrestling was going to be in there. Yeah.
And pro wrestling. These are the things that I'm passionate about in my life. And I think I'm very much encompassed in that. Well, sports too. I think sports is another one. Yeah. So I guess sports and pro wrestling can kind of be put in the same kind of thing. So, and now this podcast has been very much a very large part of my life. Yeah. I did not, like I mentioned this on the 100th episode, which is 17 episodes past now. I think about that. Yeah. I did not realize that I would still be doing this. I thought it would be something that I did for a little bit and then maybe got bored of it after a while, which there was a lull. There was a time where, like I said, we didn't do it. And I remember it was that maybe 2 years ago now at this point where, like I said, the financials were hard, and the podcast came out for the year. They changed their terms. It wasn't a monthly thing anymore. It came out for the year, and I just looked at Gabe and I'm like, it's here. We paid for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right.
And that's something that we did, and we haven't stopped, really. We've been trucking along ever since, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because at the very least, I could look back and kind of the fun conversations I've had with my friend, you know, my wife. You know, we look back at all the good times, and it's documented on the internet. There's over 100 hours, almost 200 hours probably of me talking shit on the internet.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, maybe because the way the world has changed has allowed me to document such things.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep going because that's what the pod does. We're going to keep on going, keep trekking along. And like I said, sometimes me and Gabe have to take chicken shit and turn to chicken salad.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, you and I, we rambled for about an hour and 10 minutes and we didn't even have a docket. We didn't have agenda.
Yeah, yeah.
So
we didn't even talk about sports, and that's my thing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Football. Yeah.
Well, I think that's just how the podcast works sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's originally, like I said, it was for me to document a conversation with my friends.
Yeah.
It started with Adam. You know, Adam was my first co-host.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I originally thought when the podcast started that it would be more of a 50-50 kind of thing.
Yeah.
That me and Adam, there'd be a lot of give and take there. Obviously, Adam had bigger priorities in life. You know, his kid was on his way.
Yeah.
He fell off. Gabe hopped on. Then there was a phrase or time where there was like 4 people in this in the podcast room.
Yeah, yeah.
Me, Adriana, Gabe, and Adam, and then you know, Adriana. You know, she's still in and out every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, but she's being, you know, well, I get to be a goofy. She has to be a mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just me and Gabe, and then we've had Nick hop on, and Jade and Alexa hop on, and I'm trying to get Dad in here.
Oh my God.
he is somebody I want on this show so bad.
I mean, we could probably put us on together, but there might end up be some kind of verbal altercation at some point.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll do that. It's just, you know, like I said, conversations I had with my friends, I'm like, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
And like I would walk away from them, and then you never think about it ever again.
Yeah, yeah.
This allows me to think about it. I relive some of the old podcasts, and it's just like, man, that was fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Well, I mean, I listened to the one we did a couple of times after.
Yeah.
After, because I thought it was pretty cool.
Yep.
And I thought it kind of flowed pretty well. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny because you know, they have this Snapchat filter thing that's going on, right?
Yeah.
I didn't take a picture, but I look exactly like you. It's sick.
What, really?
You and I look the same.
Yeah.
You can ask Adriana. She did it. Adriana looks like an Italian man. And her sisters look exactly like her father.
Really?
It's sick. I don't know what the hell is going on with that.
Those are some creepy filters, though, if you think about it, though, you know?
I don't know. But so yeah, that's episode 117. I'm gonna name it. Let's talk about your mother part 2, because that's what the first one was called. Let's talk about your mother.
Yeah.
I thought the Freudian thing was kind of interesting. But yeah, so that was the Second City Kids podcast. You can go ahead and like us on all the usual channels. We are everywhere podcasts can be found. Obviously, Gabe will be back in the chair for episode 118 next week. We will just push the docket over because we actually had cut quite the good docket this week. Yeah, but you know, Mother's Day, it is what it is. But until then, deuces.